So you already learned how to do a backflip, you landed your first one, and you're wondering, what's next? I got 2 words for you: cheat gainer. If you're looking for a new way to level up your backflip, or maybe you just want a new trick to learn in general, the cheat gainer is gonna be an awesome trick for you to learn. Not only is it a cool trick to do by itself, but it's also a really good prerequisite for learning the corkscrew. So in today's video, we're gonna break down a super simple progression that you can follow along to land your very first cheat gainer today. Alright everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another video tricking tutorial summer 2022. If you're new to the channel, then we've got a new tricking tutorial coming out every single Tuesday this summer. Now last week we covered the side flip, so I will link it right up here if you want to go check it out. If you want to learn how to do the side flip, make sure you go give that video a watch. It's a super cool video. Today we're going to be covering the cheat gainer. So the cheat gainer is essentially doing a backflip off of 1 foot on an axis, and it has a slightly different takeoff. Now before we get into the progression, I highly recommend that you already learn how to do the backflip. So if you haven't learned that already, make sure you pause this video, go check out my backflip tutorial. I'll link it right up here. It's another super simple follow along progression. Make sure you go check that out. Make sure you can do the backflip, then come back to this video because that's the only prerequisite that I have. Now you don't need to be able to do the backflip in order to learn the cheat gainer, but that's the way I learned it. That's the way I'm going to teach it. That's how I recommend it. Maybe you're just ready to chuck it, and if that's you, then let's get into it. All right, so the cheat gainer is going to be the first tricking tutorial that has a different setup. So far we've covered tricks from standing and tricks from a punch setup. This is going to use something called the J-step. The J-step is going to be really important for you to learn before you learn the flip, because it's going to give you all the power and all the set in order to be able to do the flip. So when you're doing the J-step, you want to think about walking out in front of you and then hooking either to the left or to the right. Now again, to do this, I recommend you figure out which way you want to spin to. In order to do that, you're just going to do a simple 360 to the left, 360 to the right, and whichever way you feel more comfortable, that's the way you're going to spin. Now personally, I like to spin to the left, and that's the way I do my J-step. So if you're like me and you like to spin to the left, then this is going to be a perfect follow along video. If it's not, you're just going to mirror everything that I do. All right, so for the J-step, you don't have to take a certain number of steps, but I like to take 4 steps into it. You want to think about taking a few steps traveling forward, and then you're going to hook to the side, in my case, the left, angling that left foot out in a blocking fashion. Now again, quick disclaimer, if you need help understanding what blocking is, make sure you go check out my front flip tutorial, because I covered pretty in depth about what blocking is and how you can use it to get height. So anyways, you're going to take a few steps forward, stick your left foot out to block on that nice angle, and you're going to swing your right leg through. That's the J-step. Now I recommend you practice that a bunch. Get really comfortable taking the steps into it. If you want to count your steps out like I do, I count 3 steps and then I step into the J-step on step number 4. You don't have to do that, but personally, it just makes it easier for me. So make sure you're comfortable with that, and then practice swinging your arms. So something that is part of the J-step is called the eagle position. So the eagle position is basically that last step you take, and your arms are going to be stretched out behind you, and your leg is going to be behind you. Everything's ready to swing up and through. This is really important to practice, because the better your eagle is, the more power you're going to get out of that J-step, the more efficient your jump into the air is going to be. Remember, we're taking off of 1 foot for this, and you're going to kick that other foot way over your head. You're going to drive it as hard as you can, and you're going to use your arms to set just like we use them in the backflip. So the second step that we're going to learn is how to start incorporating the flip into it. So there's 2 ways that people can go about doing this. One requires the backflip and one does not. Basically, the one that doesn't require a backflip is you're going to do the J-step and just gradually kick more and more over the side until instead of kicking to the side like this, you gradually kick more and more vertically until you're pretty much going straight upside down. Now personally, I think that one's a little scarier to commit to, because you're taking off of 1 foot and you're trying to kick all the way upside down without having a flip. So the second way, and the way that I'm going to teach you today, is how to do it just using a backflip as a start. So make sure you can already do a backflip. It should be feeling comfortable at this point. So step number 1, do a backflip. Step number 2, we're going to use the J-step as a setup for the backflip. Now we're still going to do the backflip the same. Still take off of 2 feet, still swing your arms up just like you normally do for a backflip, but instead of just doing it from standing, I want you to walk into it, still angle that left foot, turn yourself so you're in the J, and then do the backflip. All right, so you can combine the 2. Step number 3, we're just gonna work on speeding it up a little bit. You don't need to run into the J-step, because it's gonna give you a little too much power, and you probably won't know what to do if this is a new trick for you. But that being said, don't just walk into it. Try to put a little more speed, a little more power into it. Still do the same thing. J-step, turn, backflip off of 2 feet. All right, step number 4. This is gonna be a simple progression, guys, but step number 4, you're just gonna start to use that right foot, in my case, a little bit less and less each time. Now again, if you are J-stepping to the right and you're swinging your left foot through, you're just gonna do the opposite of everything that I'm saying. But if you're like me and you J-step to the left, and you plant on your left foot and you're swinging your right leg through, you wanna start touching the ground as little as possible with your right foot. So walk into the J-step, do your backflip. Still use both feet, but instead of really pushing through that right foot, think about only touching it like you're stepping on a pane of glass. Then you're probably gonna be landing pretty low and it might feel super uncoordinated, and that's okay, because remember, a lot of the power from the cheek gainer comes from that swing leg. So if you're not actually swinging it through, you're not gonna be getting as much power. And you're still not fully taking off of 2 feet, so you're not even gonna get as much power from a regular backflip, so it's probably gonna feel really hard. And once you practice that and it feels comfortable, guys, that's literally it. Step number 5, you are gonna try to take off of just that one foot. So in my case, just my left foot. Try not to let your right foot touch the ground at all. You don't really need to think about kicking it out forward for the first time. Just try to do the cheek gainer, do a backflip without touching your right foot down. And if you just send it, it's probably gonna look something like this. All right, so if you actually did that, congrats, you just sent your first cheek gainer. So we're gonna talk about how you can make it go from looking like this, super low crouch position, to more like this, where you're really kicking that foot through and you're landing nice and tall. All right, so the first thing you need to do is try to not tuck so much. If you watched how I sent it the first time, which is probably gonna be how most of you guys send it for your first time if you follow along this progression, I still set for the backflip and tuck and grab my knees just like I would for a standing flip. That's fine at first, but you wanna get used to not tucking, right? You don't wanna tuck your legs in, because think about it, you need to use your left foot to push the ground away from you and kick your right foot all the way out so it clears up and over your head. So that's the first thing you wanna practice, is try to do the trick without tucking, without grabbing your knees. Once you're doing that, you should already be feeling like you're landing a little bit taller, because you don't necessarily need to tuck. Remember, you still want to jump up, so don't lean back too far. All right, if you lean back too far, you're gonna stay really low to the ground and you're gonna land super crouched. All right, and so once you can do the cheek gainer with the swing leg through and you're not grabbing your knees anymore, it's just a simple matter of repetition and trying to kick that leg as straight out as you can. What might help for this is if you think about you're kicking a soccer ball, so you can even put something on the ground in front of you. You're gonna run up, do your J-step, really kick that swing leg through as hard as you can, harder than you think you should be, and that's gonna help get it nice and straight, give you the power to get all the way up and over your head. Remember, a lot of the jumping power comes from that plant leg, but the power that's gonna get you that rotation and get you all the way around comes from your swing leg. So if you're not swinging that leg out hard enough, you're not gonna flip very fast. And that's about it. Once you can practice that, guys, just keep repeating it, keep using repetition to make it cleaner, make it feel better. Remember, if you're leaning too far back, try to jump up a little bit more. Use the same principles that we talked about in the backflip tutorial about spotting in front of you to try and go up instead of back. If you have any comments or questions about this trick in particular that you want me to answer, make sure you let me know in the comments down below. But overall, if you found this video helpful, please give me a like. It really helps me out, lets me know that I'm doing a good job making these videos, and comment down below what tutorial you guys want to see next week, because like I said, new tutorial every Tuesday, summer 2022. In the meantime, if you want to go back and rewatch a lot of my other tutorials, make sure you check out this playlist right here. If you want to see my most recent video, make sure you check out this video right here. And until next time, I hope you all subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.